Friends, welcome back to the Film Alchemist podcast, the show where we take the movies we love, break them apart to find out what gives them their rabbit magic. I'm your host, Josh Griffey, joined as always by my friend whose uncle lost some money and a guy who sees shit.
Weak. Alex Dandino.
How fucking dare you?
I thought you were going to go with...
I was going to say a legless capitalist monster. But
I thought you were going to go with guy who won't stop giving out his business card. Something like that.
All right, fair enough. All right, so we're already bickering. It's the first day of December. We're already bickering in front of the children. No, that's not. Guys, we are here today for a very exciting double feature picked by one of our patrons. Over on patreon.com/filmalchemistpod, the best way to support the show, an amazing way to make your voice heard, like Taryn Conway, our very dear friend. She has been supporting the show since the very start. We love Taryn very much, and we even like Sam, who she's engaged to. He's not bad either. But Taryn came up with the idea for the Jimmy Stewart double feature. So today we'll be talking about It's a Wonderful Life, but first we're talking about Harvey. But before that, a little business. Again, you heard it here. Patreon.com/filmalchemistpod. Guys, please go over there and support the show if you can. It means the world to us. We do a lot to try to make it worth your while. You get to pick the movies for Patreon exclusives. We got commentaries. We got our Tales from the Crypt miniseries that's running out. We got all kinds of stuff over there for you. So for those of you who already support us, thank you. For those of you who are about to, thank you as well. The email, filmalchemistpod@gmail.com. We're on all the socials you're on, so hit us. Well, for now, we don't know what's happening. Twitter might already be living in Pottersville, an alternate dead reality.
We might be in Hive. Who knows?
I started Hive, and it made me want to not have a cell phone anymore. Neither here nor there.
Correct response.
The YouTube, Film Alchemist, and make sure you leave those ratings and reviews wherever you find us. All right. You aren't here for business. You get enough capitalism at the start of December. I'm just saying, if you wanted to give us a gift.
For Celtic mythology.
Yeah, if you wanted to give us a gift, patreon.com/filmalchemist. Pod, Dumb DeLuise style. Because we're money-grubbing potters. That's what we are at our very core. But no, so today we're starting. I love the idea of this because Jimmy Stewart is just one of those monolithic actors, right? Like, he just carved his own lane. He's so instantly recognizable from the voice, the look. He was a wonderful, wonderful actor. And these are two of my favorite Jimmy Stewart movies. It's a Wonderful Life has a very, emotionally poignant tale, right, for a lot of audience members. This one specifically is really fun to me because my wife, I told you, she might have only bought one DVD her entire life. And she had to go out to the store the day they released the super edition of Harvey. My wife loves this movie. My wife is very much like Jimmy Stewart in this movie. She kind of walks around, being pleasant. She's a little whimsical. Not shots fired. That's a nice thing to say.
That's a beautiful thing to say.
But yeah, so Elwood and Amy just walking around fucking creeping out normal rich whites. But yeah, I think it's funny because Harvey, it's amazing that the gag can go on as long as it does. And it just drags you along enough. And then every time you feel like you're slowing down, you get this amazing pause with you where you just get to spend time with Jimmy Stewart. And it feels like he's kind of working his elbows in there, like he's adding extra lines, right, to make it a little more Jimmy Stewart. And that alone is just worth the ride for me. So, Alex, opening thoughts on Harvey.
I gotta tell you, I do not remember. I read the play.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think I ever saw the movie. Don't know why. Just skipped it. I have no idea.
You're not a man of whimsy. You like hardcore, gritty shit.
Are you done? Anyways,
you like Draft Day, real movies.
I've said every chance I've got that's one of the finest science fiction films in the history. So no, I do not like movies that are real. No, Harvey is really interesting, and it's funny that you brought up because I thought the same thing. Like the reason this movie works, the only reason it works, because again, like when you see it in a play setting, it's very different. Like I'm sure like that takes a very specific actor. In a movie, I think very quickly the tendency when we're making movies is to just you want to know what is it real or not. Like, and there's, I mean,
should we do a spoiler alert for 100 years ago?
in the hands of lesser directors, I'd say or like they would just give up the ghost and like do some CGI shit or something like that, which is bad. Like this isn't like a drop dead Fred.
They didn't have that option back then.
But it's not even like it's not even a Donnie Darko or Drop Dead Fred type deal. Like what it literally is a man who's addressing somebody who's not on screen, and that lives
a
and
6'3.5" rabbit, not even a person.
It lives and breathes on Jimmy Stewart's performance because it's Jimmy Stewart. Like this is 1950, so he's Capra's guy. Like he's now done. Like 1939 was Mr. Smith Goes to Washington. He's super young. And then he's done It's a Wonderful Life in 1946. So he's Jimmy Stewart. He's affable, friendly Jimmy Stewart. And I think that's why Harvey works so well, and why the performance and the movie itself is so endearing in a lot of ways, is because Jimmy Stewart is just, it's not even about selling it. It's that Jimmy Stewart just lives and breathes in this moment. It's very fascinating.
Yeah, well, it's kind of funny. Spoiler alerts if you haven't seen Harvey yet. It's actually kind of a brilliant case study in why Jimmy Stewart is the key of the movie. I actually think the movie falls apart as soon as we realize Harvey's a real creature, right? The moment that, and I guess you could still say that there are other people just buying into his delusions, but we see actual physical manifestations, right? Harvey starts conjuring around the asylum and whatever. I think the moment you see that movie stops for me completely. And I have no more interest in it for the last 10 minutes or so. Because they kind of give it away a little earlier, but you can pan that one off, right? Again, the moment it stops being... Because there's a way to watch this movie, right? Where this is the next stage of George Bailey's life. Where he's like, fuck, dude, I just got ghosted by God himself. Right? I tried to be smart. I tried to be good. Inside, I was like, I should just be pleasant, man. Let me suggest being pleasant. And he just walks around and says, fuck it, dude. This is all crazy, right? And so it's him talking to another Clarence-like guy, but not being a morbid bitch, right? Just being like, I'm just going to fucking skate around town, getting hammered, talking to everyone like I'm Oprah, and they're the most interesting person in the world. And it seems like a not bad life.
I mean, he seems unencumbered, unlike the rest of us.
Well, it is one thing. His mother died and left him seemingly an endless estate to where he can just take fucking drink meetings from sun up till sundown every day.
Mm-hmm. That's certainly an advantage of the idle rich. I'll say that.
Yeah. But this is what I'm saying, right? The part of the movie where it's just Jimmy Stewart saying, you know what? I've been outsmarting everyone. I've been doing this. I just want to walk around and rub it in these people's faces, right? Because especially the first thing we see is his sister and his niece, who are just horrid people. Just fucking the trash of the trash. And I'm assuming that's a cultural thing from back then, right?
You'd think they're terrible, and then you meet Dr. Sanderson, but we'll get there.
Right. There's plenty to go around. But I like the idea that Jimmy Stewart's like, you know what? What if I just pause my fucking day-to-day, this same-ass commuting shit, and I just go in on these people, and I just start fucking throwing it in their faces. Because how did a fucking Irish fairy deity make its way to wherever the fuck this is, right? That sounds like something a really smart guy read in one of his many books and weaponized against the fucking dopes he's surrounded by, right? I don't know. I think it's better if it's just Jimmy Stewart rubbing it in everyone's face. Do you agree?
I mean... Yes, I don't see. Like, I here's my thing. I don't see the harm either way. Like, if it's Jimmy Stewart rubbing it in everyone's face, you're like, all right, well, it's somebody who clearly has the advantage over all of us, telling us to be better people. I'm like, great, whatever. Like, that's one of those like lessons. You're like, cool, thank you, Elon Musk. Move on. Like, that's like
how
sort of
fucking
like
dare.
But that's what
Elwood nor Harvey are as fucking stanky as Musk. There's no fucking.
Certainly not as musky, no. But you get my point. Like,
he has just revealed himself to be like one of the all-time cunts. I'm sorry for saying the C word, but like the moment that guy came out, it's like that guy was like a Harvey who got unveiled, and he was like a little Gollum jerking off in your salad. And you're like, what the fuck? That's neither here nor there. We don't need to talk about.
But what I'm saying is, and again, I'm only using the parlance of our time because he's the rich guy off the top of my head. But like, the way I would describe it is like, if you decide that it's Jimmy Stewart just walking around kind of flaunting it in everyone's face.
Yeah.
It loses, I get it. It loses a little bit of charm and it becomes kind of like dickish in a little, in a lot of ways.
So to your point, there's not a lot of like great idol billionaire guys to worship right now, right?
I'm not saying there's not.
What I'm saying is though, the fact that he just takes it, he's like, I'm so sick of these fucking fancy pants girl club dinners where we got to pretend that fucking dumb lady can sing and we got to put on airs and I got to hang out with stuffed shirts all day. And he just goes, I'm going to pretend I see a fucking rabbit. And I'm going to invite cab drivers and guys who are in jail and all these people over and just watch the others squirm. There's something about that is great. And then to everyone else, right? He's making the cabbie feel like he's better off. He's making everyone feel
If you're looking
great.
at it as a social experiment, then
I think that's more fun.
Sure. That makes sense. And I like that idea too. Like there's an element to that that's whimsical in the way that like Arthur's not whimsical. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Like,
right. Because at the end, they kind of settle on this peach dragon thing.
Right.
And you're like, that's fine too. Like it's a great journey.
Right. If you decide to ascribe to the idea, and I wonder what Amy thought. Did Amy say what she thinks? Does Amy think it's
she loves this movie unabashedly, sees no faults in it anywhere. She loves everything about it.
Amy's totally fine with admitting that like Harvey's essentially a
this
Time
is
Lord.
Such a class. Yeah.
Who can go
Harvey's powers are fucking horrifying.
Yeah, so
Harvey, this is the other thing. How do we know Harvey didn't fucking pause the clock and then run the fucking old aunt or the old sister through all that? He ripped my clothes off. At one point, the orderly says, I'll sit on her and you fucking strip her down. There are whores everywhere in this place.
Not okay.
And Harvey's the one fucking putting him in this.
That sanitarium is terrifying.
I know she tried to commit Elwood, so we don't feel bad for her.
You think
but
about
she got
as far as like mental
tenfold.
hospitals and as far as like mental hospitals and like in pop culture, it's like this and Arkham Asylum are the two worst places I think I could think of.
I don't know. Arkham Asylum, those people are always sitting in their fucking cells, at least
even
like
Cuckoo's
doing their
Nest
hobbies.
isn't this bad.
Yeah, no. In Arkham Asylum, they still get to do their hobbies and shit, right?
Still get to sit there and do their thing. This
and
one
this
is literally
one you
like
get fucking weird ginger maniac just fucking throwing powder. It looks like when Farva's getting deloused, but just with like sad old people.
Powdered sugar. It's delicious.
It's delicious, sir. No, but that's it. So this is the impetus of the story is that this lady who is fucking leeching off the teat of her big brother, who's leeching off the ghost of his dead mother, can't hitch her daughter to a society person, right?
Right.
And he's so embarrassing. The moment he says he sees a giant rabbit who's his friend, despite him being perfectly pleasant and affable, they run out of the house in horror. And she goes, this is ridiculous. My daughter can't get a husband. I'm going to commit him to an asylum. Which, again, legally dubious, but the times were different back then, perhaps. I have to say, his sister might be among the biggest piece of shit of any character we've ever covered on this podcast.
She's pretty despicable.
That is a fucking insane place to start Act 2 of this movie. No pun intended.
She's pretty despicable. Only then outdone by the doctor who like has apparently no conceit for due diligence or understanding of anything.
Right, but like, since we know that Harvey's a fucking Time Lord, Harvey probably puppet mastered that guy into delousing her.
That conversation between the two of them, I'm just like, these two garbage people are just deciding on their garbage plan. Like whatever is happening right now is terrible, and
she's like so unbearably shitty.
Yeah, well, it's like it's 1950, so the gag is, you know what the gag is. Like we all know where it's going. I think this is something that I think is really, this is something I like a lot about the movie is it is, until the end, obviously, it does labor under the assumption that you don't know. Like,
right.
I agree. Like,
well, because she starts cracking, right? She even does that, she does that thing with the doctor where she's like, let me explain to you the difference between a picture and a painting, right? The painting lets us capture what we wish was a mechanical thing, only captures, like, not understanding the fucking irony of what she's saying, that she wants to fucking take away the painting from Jimmy Stewart and leave but the fucking mechanics, right? So she even fucking gets it. But if you look at this as the talented Mr. Harvey, that's awesome. Right? He's literally driving these people fucking insane. Trying to be like, how can this guy be happy when all of us are so fucking miserable?
Yeah.
I don't know.
But I mean, that is what makes Jimmy Stewart's performance that much more charming. Is he is just like he's just trying to be nice. He's just being nice to everyone.
Okay.
I do like it as kind of a troll. I like that a lot.
But see, that's
actually.
what I mean though, because Harvey.
Shit.
They say specifically Harvey is a mischievous entity, right? So Harvey
Everybody else
finds this guy who says, "I've got nothing but time to just drink and mix it up." And the entity goes, "Fuck yeah, let's roll." So I think you by nature have to assume that something about Jimmy Stewart, and then again, I am almost 1,000% willing to admit, I'm assuming that is not what Frank Capra was going for. He was going for
Frank
the
Capra.
just who is it? What did I say?
Sorry, Henry Koster's the director.
Jesus Christ! All right, neither Frank Capra did It's a Wonderful Life. My bad.
Yeah.
What I'm saying is, I'm assuming this was supposed to be about one of those slow down and smell the roses kind of movies, right? What I'm saying is, looking back on it, it reads so nefarious, right? Maybe because we've had decades since of these fucking evil plotting ruses. This feels like two malicious entities trying to tear him down.
I think we've had so much cynicism pumped into our daily life. Watching this is very difficult to watch. It's very difficult to watch this movie in earnest. Because
I thought that even about It's a Wonderful Life. Like, I'm
thought
so
that too.
fucking cynical with movies.
It's a Wonderful Life is a whole other thing. Like, and again,
right.
The what's beautiful. Well, here, there's the difference. Like, for me, what's beautiful about It's a Wonderful Life is it is this story about coming to terms with the fact that, you know, you do love your life. Your life is in fact wonderful, and, you know, its grass is always greener, that kind of thing. Appreciate what you have. Like, there are these wonderful general notes about life to have from It's a Wonderful Life, which is why it's fun to poke holes in it. Mm-hmm. Harvey is about literally, like, how terrible is your life that you have to just flat out escape it by fucking with everybody nonstop, and it's just saying like, oh yeah, there's a rabbit right behind me, so
right,
you know, like the lesson to learn in Harvey is much less than It's a Wonderful Life lesson to learn.
I mean, maybe both are supernatural, mischievous bitches.
Truth.
There's this moment though, right? Because like they go to find him at a bar, right? So now they're like, she's gonna sue us, so we're gonna recommit everyone in the family. And they find him at a bar, and it looks like he's trying to escape, right? Because he's got them dancing. Mm-hmm. In this moment, when they find him in the alley, I'm like, this is the best scene in the movie by a mile. Right?
Absolutely.
It's like
Beautiful
Jimmy Stewart's
scene.
what feels like 5 minutes of monologuing.
A famous scene. This is like like AFI's 100 most quotable moments.
Oh my God, it's fucking beautiful, right? Because he talks about, because they're like, what do you do? 'Cause he's like, I'm so busy. I'm like, what do you fucking do besides drink all day? And he said that him and Harvey show up at the bar. I wrote some of it down, right? That they meet these people and they talk to them. And he goes, Harvey and I warm ourselves in these golden moments. We enter as strangers and become friends. And then this is the line. I was like, that's one of the greatest lines committed to movie. Nobody ever brings anything small into a bar.
Yeah.
And I was like, fuck yeah. And then he's like, I introduced him to Harvey. And then it gets weird, right? He's like, then they get jealous and Harvey's bigger than their things. I'm like, well, that's a weird flex of a fucking psychopath, it feels, but let's pretend he's not a psychopath, right? And then he talks about how one day he's just out, like, putting his fucking drunk friend, you know, in a cab, and he sees this guy leaning there. And the psychiatrist is just trying to get him to say that Harvey is this fucking fragmented amalgam of someone he lost in the past, right?
Right.
And he goes, no, none of that. I don't know a Harvey. And he just, like, it's always my favorite name. And the rabbit goes, what a coincidence. That's my name. Right? And it's just this fucking wonderful, just long monologue where Jimmy Stewart's just really fucking taking you on a journey. Yeah. And yeah, it's just great. But I love that idea of this guy who just, he has, that's what is so great about this. He puts off this very warm aura in the film, right? Even though he might be a psycho. But I love that idea, right? It just, it reminds me of that line in Peter Capaldi's finale of Doctor Who, right? Another famous mischievous Time Lord. And he said, in all of my 900 years of existence, I never met a small or worthless person, something like that, right? That essentially every life is a tale worth telling and listening to. And I loved that sentiment of it. I thought that was cool, right? That there's this guy who has all of this fucking resource and this and that. And he does. He goes out and just finds people that need an ear and a smile and sometimes a rabbit ear. And I thought that was a really cool selling point of the movie to me.
Well, yeah. I mean, it's this beautiful notion of, I like the idea that Harvey, because there is this like, this is like the Drop Dead Fred thing. Like, not, again, like I'm just using a reference that I think will work for everyone. But like, to me, what I like about...
You don't think our audience is high-minded and Harveying? It's like, you're more Drop Dead Fred people.
I mean, I'm a Drop Dead Fred.
Which, to be fair, I am
I'll say
as
that
well.
Right now. But like, the idea is that Harvey comes to you when you're in need in some way. Like,
yeah.
But what's interesting is, because I thought about that, because that was always my perception of what Harvey was based on what like I had read, those kinds of things. Watching the movie today, though, and realizing what Jimmy Stewart's life was, I was like, what does Jimmy Stewart actually need? I'm like, maybe this is what it is Elwood's life is, yes, charmed. Mm-hmm. He's obviously a rich playboy. He can kind of do whatever he wants. I think what he wants is real friends, like somebody who is the truest friend, like the truest person to his life. And I think that that's something he can't even find in family. And his sister doesn't help. So I think in the pursuit of what's real, and the irony being the pursuit of what's real leads Elwood to Harvey, I guess.
Right.
And because Harvey, again, psychologically, I think if you're willing to lend a hand to your drinking buddy and say, oh, that person needs to get in a cab, you're like, that's the aspect of you that's very lonely. Like, yeah. I know that this is going to hurt him, so I have to put him somewhere safe. And then what do I do?
Yeah.
It's a really...
Well, there's a non-mischievous way to look at it, right? Like, if you aren't cynical, you look at it as the reason that people label Harvey as mischievous, right? Or these spirits, right? These Pookas or whatever, is because they are telling people it's okay to fucking break from the norm. Right. It's okay to just walk around and act in a way that is different to these people, right? His sister wants him committed because he's acting so strange. But when the people in the asylum see the two, they're like, you're the one who seems like the troublemaker, not him. She
seems erratic and crazy.
Right, because he's just calm and nice. Again, like you say, he's like, my mom always told me Elwood. She always called me Elwood. I love that touch, right? That felt like a Jimmy Stewart. She always called me Elwood, right?
She always called me Elwood, yeah.
And she said, in this world, you must be oh so smart or oh so pleasant. For years I was smart. I recommend pleasant. And the fact that he made that turn in the position he was in life is considered a man losing his marbles. He's mischievous because he's not falling in line. He doesn't want to be on the board of the fucking water club or whatever the fuck she said. And there's a way to look at it at the time, as you see this, boom and bust, and the country had been through a fucking depression and a war and all this shit. 2 wars, actually, at that point.
Yeah.
That there is this, maybe we just need to fucking all be a little bit nicer to everyone. And it's an evergreen kind of message that you even watching it today, you're like, fuck, we could use a little bit more.
Yeah. Oh, no, I thought the same
across
thing.
the board.
Like, right. And like, when I think about it too, and that was the harder part. I think this is the harder thing to come to grips with Elwood's character because, later on in the movie, obviously, like with the, what is it, formula something?
977.
Whatever the formula. Yeah. Whatever the formula is that literally like, flowers for Algernon's him. It's like one of those things where you're like, all right, well, what good is a normal person though? I think that's like the really fascinating thing.
I wrote that line down too, right? The cabbie said, for some reason, the people just put their relatives in this cab to go get fucking dehumanized or whatever. And he says something, right? He's like, I've been doing this for 15 years. Like, it changes them, right? They're all nice in this after that. And then what did he say?
A perfectly
after this,
normal
he will be a
being,
perfectly
and
normal.
What stinkers they are.
And you know what stinkers they are. And I just went, fuck yeah, that is absolutely where I'm at. Like that is a great way to look at the film as well.
It's a great way to see it.
Even sends his evil bitch of a sister banging on the door like, no, God, no, don't make him a normal like me.
Because that whimsy, I think that's the thing is like, it's not childlike is so childlike is not the way to put it to me, because
I feel like people use that as kind of a passive insult.
I think so too. I agree. And that's why I would never want to put it that way, because that's not what this is. Like, childlike, we both have children. Like, my kids' perception of what they're doing, like, my kid was a fucking nightmare tonight, and he ran around screaming and but at the end of the day, what he wasn't doing was anything malicious. Like, he was doing it because he had a lot of energy and he wanted to show everybody what he was doing. Like, what this is an adult hanging on to any sort of whimsy left in the world. That's what this is. That's what that is. It's not, I want to revert to being a child.
Childlike whimsy is inherently unexamined. There's something different about an older person saying, I am going to fight every fucking day and be insulted
tooth and nail
whatever
to
just be happy and spread happiness in the world. Yeah.
Yeah.
This guy is trying so hard to just enjoy himself and not hurt anyone that his sister wanted to fucking commit him. That's wild.
But that's
fucking wild.
And you think about 1950, we're out of World War II. We're far enough. I think it was 1946 was when it was. I don't remember, but
I don't know shit about history except for Ancient Aliens.
Well,
I know a lot about that.
But we're far enough out at that point though, where the whimsy that you need to continue, like, we've all seen, like, at that point the country had seen terrible things. Mm-hmm. We'd all had to come to grips with it. So like, I think at that point, like, it's almost a metaphor for America in general. Is just like, we have to hang on to this last bit of hope, essentially. It's not hope is a great way to put it. I would say hope is the adult version of whimsy. Like, you and I write, we do a podcast, like, we do these things that make us feel good and give us the sense that we're moving forward in any sort of progress, like, creatively, which sometimes is very hard to hold on to. And like, I think I think hope in the face of like every adult instinct you have to like throw all your gear away and just sit down and do your job. And then go home and do your job.
You've had this friend with me too, right? We all have these people in our lives where it's like, hey, do you want to hang out? Yeah. And they show up and all they do is bitch and bitch and bitch. And, oh, this is wrong with me and I can't fucking help it and this is that. And you're like, you want to like, hey, take a breath and like, what if you tried this or this? And they're like, fuck you. Like, you don't understand. It's like, all right, man.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ. Like, we all have that one person that's, because that's what I mean. Everyone has bad days. We use each other as sounding boards when it's rough, right?
By the way, I've been that person. Like, it's an easy thing to slip into.
No, but usually you text me and I'm like, it'll be all right. We'll figure it out. Blah, blah, blah.
But see, like, but that's what it is.
But you actively take steps to try to better your scenario, right? And so I understand being that, but what it is Jimmy Stewart's looking around and it's like just these people, and it's when you don't have that, it's not even, because hope is one way. The other way I would think of it, right, is I am just going to fucking enjoy this day no matter what. Like at the start when the mailman's like, what a nice day. Every day is a nice day. That's a fucking that's a mindset, right? My wife is like that, right? She has bad days like the rest of us, but even if she has a bad day, right, where I have it and I'd be like, day's over, fuck it, I'll start tomorrow. Yeah. She fucking deals with it and moves on.
Amy's sunny disposition, that is Harvey.
If you ever want to know what it's like to spend a day with my wife, it's Elwood without the drinking. Like, that is pretty much exactly what it feels like. I bet.
She is perennially happy.
Right, and I am perennially cloudy and cynical, right? So it's a nice lesson for me because I'll catch myself just fucking unleashing. And I see her and she's just like Elwood, right? Where she's like, I will listen and give you what you need to get off your chest. But it always ends in that, but we got to take steps, right? And I think especially at this time in the world, right? When it's like you had seen Real Monsters and the fucking Great Depression and shit. It probably rang to all those audiences where they're just like, leave this fucking guy alone. Leave this fucking guy alone, dude. Right? We just got out of the Hoovervilles and now you're putting this guy away for being a nice dude.
To me, but like I think what's interesting in the correlation to watch it now is we're right there again. Like we're at the same aspect in history where we're just like, we see like, not just, look, we've seen horrors since we were,
but not even that, right? Like we've had a lot of traumatic shit. Go to any fucking TikTok, Instagram, whatever. Look at a young kid who's having a fucking blast creating whatever the fuck. They're just reaching out into the world, having a good time. You go to the comments and there's so many people, fuck you, fuck you.
So many people just want to fucking
it's
hate
like, why are
it.
you just fucking shitting on this person who's just trying to fucking make their day better?
Right.
And it's everywhere.
I mean, I think in that I think is what makes Harvey so special.
Right.
Is that, again, and whatever philosophy of what Harvey is you ascribe to, the important thing about
do I
the
think
movie,
in that big ass house he has a big ass skin basement? Yes.
Oh yeah, there's for sure a Donnie Darko like Harvey just sitting in the basement.
There's definitely a time when Jimmy Stewart with that fucking robe that she brought him's like, would you fuck me, Harvey? Would you fuck me? For sure. Why do you think that the niece can't get any husbands, right? Because he's making fucking Harvey suits out of. He's taking their tits and folding them up to be his little rabbit ears. Would you fuck me, Harvey? Would you fuck me? Just
Absolutely.
rabbit fucking too. So it's like that MacGruber Cemetery.
But
I don't know how we got there, but
I think ultimately what Harvey is for.
Did you derail our inspirational stuff, or did I?
I never do. It's
How
normally
fucking dare you throwing bombs?
but
Now all I can
good.
think about
It's
is
good.
Jimmy Stewart doing the "Would you fuck me?" Would you fuck? He would have
see
been
if I
the
can-
best Buffalo
me see
Bill.
if I-
Would Jimmy Stewart not have been the best Buffalo Bill? Oh, wow, was she a great big fat person?
Oh, would you fuck me? I'd fuck me. I'd fuck me hard. And I'd shoot down through your toes.
Oh, gross. All right,
Anyways,
inspirational shit. Go, queued you up. Be inspirational as fuck.
I don't know. That was a really good tangent, though. No, I think ultimately, for me, when you watch Harvey through a modern context, that is like, we need more Harveys in the world. There needs to be more Pookas following people around, and people need to be able to acknowledge them.
But see, in this day and age, he would be an influencer, right? Like, imagine how nuts we all
see,
went and
that's
how
what I'm
happy
talking
we all
about,
were
like-
for one day when that fucking guy skateboarded to Fleetwood Mac and drank juice. We're like, look at that fucking guy having a great
Some
morning.
guys are just, but that's what I'm saying. Like I don't know what your Harvey is,
Right.
but like there is a level to it that it's aspirational.
My Harvey looks like me, and he's so mean to me all the time.
Yeah.
See, I
My
have
Harvey
the evil
is-
Harvey. I need a good Harvey to be like,
I have
stop
a Donnie.
bitching.
I have a Frank from Donnie Darko. Like I have a Donnie Darko Harvey. Like
Mine looks
nobody-
probably exactly like me, and just everything I do, it's like, and I just hear it.
I
and
think mine's like a cynical, like it sort of functions the way Wilfred did, that show with Elijah Wood.
Yeah, man. But I just watched it, and it's just, again, I don't like the ending where we realize Harvey's real. But I also was mad as shit when Harvey's like, yeah, I'm just going to leave you.
Yeah, it made me sad.
Because he's this
But-
being that's been around forever, and he's moved on before. And to your point, right? He found Elwood when he needed him, and then he went to the doctor. When he came back, it was nice, though. Just seeing Jimmy
the way-
Stewart walk down the road with his arm around the invisible...
Yeah.
I mean, it's great. It's a wonderful fucking heartwarming
I'm gonna say that
journey.
I'm gonna say this for Dr. Chumley. Dr. Chumley, there's myriad better things to do than 2 weeks in Akron. I'm just saying.
I think Harvey took him to the fuck shack.
You think Harvey took him to the
I think
sugar
Harvey.
shack?
I think Harvey fucking. Because this is the thing, when he shows up to that asylum, he's running in fear, and he goes,
Harvey took him
"It's
to-
chasing me."
Harvey
Right?
took him to his rabbit hole.
Well, that's what I'm saying. And then all of a sudden, he's like, "Where on this tired old earth did you find this thing? I love it. Stay with me, Daddy." And it's like, oh shit. So he was scared, but now he's turned on. Harvey gets out of there fast, dude. So he stopped that clock, and I think he just fucking pulverized that doctor mentally, however he needed to. I think that doctor was fucking rubble by the end of it.
It's
Because also they
Again.
said at the bar the doctor's going over and trying to fuck some lady he used to know. So I think Harvey's like, that's it. This guy's out. He's
this guy's a monster. I can't help him.
yeah. Hey, oh wait, what is that? He gets on the bus. He's like, wait, that doesn't say Akron. And Harvey pulls a little lever and the little fucking city thing, Pound Town. He's like, no. I think that's what happens. Myself.
Again,
He gets out of that house with a quickness.
I enjoyed watching this movie a lot, though, and it is
Yeah.
there's a level of it that's very inspirational.
As much as we fuck around and are taking the piss out of it, it's refreshing to watch a movie that is just unabashedly joyous, right?
Yes.
There are very few movies today that there's not some kind of cynical fucking touch.
I mean, that is the essence of Capra. Capra-esque.
Capra-esque, not Capra, but yeah,
This
it was
isn't
just
Capra, but it is Capra-esque.
it was just a delightful ride, man. And just watching Jimmy Stewart just fully fucking take this thing and run with it.
Agreed.
I think it's an awesome movie. It's a real pick-me-up kind of thing, which I enjoyed. It's a Wonderful Life is the opposite, right? From Harvey Heaven to fucking Bedford Hell. Up next, yeah, It's a Wonderful Life, question mark? That's the second part of our double feature.
Who?
So, warning, Alex and I have had a lot of talks about It's a Wonderful Life. We have a wee bit of a different perspective on this film. We also love it.
Look,
it's one of the greatest movies ever made.
It is one of the most beautiful films. I have a lot of fond memories watching it with my family.
Right.
However, warning, prepare yourself.
We got lots to talk.
There's stuff to unpack.
Yeah, you'll catch us at a brothel in Pottersville drinking with Harvey. That's where you'll find us on the second half of this double feature. So again, guys.
God, now I want that fan art.
Yeah, thank you so much to Taryn. We love you very much. You know that. Thank you for your support. If you want to support the show and maybe hear some stuff that you want specifically, go to patreon.com/filmalchemistpod. We appreciate it. Thank you guys so much. The email, filmalchemistpod@gmail.com. The YouTube, Film Alchemist. Make sure you leave those 5-star ratings and reviews, and find us on whatever social media survives the purge. We'll be there. Like your mischievous drinking buddy, you'll find us there. For the Film Alchemist, I'm Josh Griffey.
And I'm Alex, the White Rabbit.
Alex, who fucks skins in the basement. And we'll see you right now for It's a Wonderful Life. Bye.